have a ramshackle feeling about everything we do. So Armed Forces Week seems to go on for about 3 months in Rugby League. No one knows when to have a heritage round or a charity shirt or this and that and the other. And certainly, I mean, I remember the immediate reaction to Izzy Folau signing for Catalans is Wigan came out and said, right, when we play Catalans, we're going to have a pride match. This is what we're going to do. And obviously it didn't happen because of COVID. Can, as a sport, knowing everything we know about people involved in it, can we have a pride round? Can that work?
Well, I think it can. It happens in football. It happens in rugby union. They have them in cricket. They have sort of matches. I think the way the RFL seems to have gone with this year is that they've sort of allowed clubs to choose their games when they're going to have these sort of events.
Inclusion rounds.
Inclusion rounds. But they're inclusion games as opposed to a round. And for me, I think it has a much more... it's much more impactful when the whole competition draws together to deliver a message, whatever that message may be, whether that's armed forces or whether that's, Pride for for the month of June or Rainbow Laces campaign or whatever it may be. For me, in my view is I think the collective is usually stronger. And you're right in terms of Israel Folau. It was disappointing that Wigan then didn't have an event, even though that original fixture didn't take place. So, my disappointment with the Rainbow Laces campaign was that they introduced it and then it just all died a death and was not heard of since.
13 seconds.
Yeah, well, they have 13 seconds now, don't they? But they obviously don't take a knee. It sort of became this sort of 13-second period where I don't know. People don't really know what to do.
We barely get that now.
I'm trying to word this thing carefully because I got in trouble before on this programme. Not from people, but from the RFL. Because I thought we bottled the taking the knee thing. And Wakefield as a club completely screwed it up, didn't they? In that game at Headingley. And then we had to have mandatory diversity training. That was fun for me on teams. There are obviously people who aren't going to want to support it for whatever reason. So how...
Lawrence fault.
Well, at least you can sell him some flags to burn. At least he makes some money off it. How do we do something where we know there will be not a backlash to it? That's the wrong phrase, but there will be opposition in varying levels to what we want to.
I think that's so difficult, isn't it? And it was a minefield trying to navigate that through that time when some players would take a knee, some players wouldn't. And people were then being pilloried because they didn't or they did, and I don't know is the answer. That is the difficulty in it. And I think in terms of sort of a Rainbow Laces type round, and it doesn't have to be that, but I think when they did it before, players were given the laces, and it was up to the players that if they want to wear them they can, if they don't they don't, and that's absolutely fine. I get that. It doesn't have to be just about wearing a pair of laces. It's about making an event of it, and that might be something that you do off the field. It doesn't necessarily need to involve the players, is what I'm trying to say. So it doesn't have to be a one-in, all-in mentality. And obviously that's where the NRL encountered difficulties with Manly, didn't they? And the players didn't want to play, and we've seen that in other sports, in football more recently, I think in France, haven't we? By the way, I don't get that. I don't get this issue about religion supposedly stopping you. I think, interestingly, today, the mayor in Keighley, interestingly because it's their pride game, he's basically suggesting he's now going to have to resign because of his comments, because he appeared with a pride flag and then apologised for appearing with a pride flag. Basically, he said
someone put this flag in my hand,
offended his religion by doing so, and in doing so he's now had to resign. So look, it's a minefield, and it's this whole woke business that people talk about is a nonsense in terms of that phrase being bandied about. Look, it's about being respectful to one another. That's it. And I think, look, you have to respect people's individual circumstances and views and beliefs. And look, if somebody doesn't want to participate in it, they shouldn't be forced to do something. So it doesn't have to be that everybody has to wear a pair of rainbow laces or everybody has to take a knee. Having said that, clubs like, I think it was St Helens and Huddersfield, I think were two of the teams that did unanimously take a knee. And I think that was largely because of players within that squad addressed their squad about their feelings on the subject. So where there was player buy-in, you got the whole team buying in, and why wouldn't you? Because it's a team sport.
Absolutely.
So in the same way that, you know, now I'm working at CBRE for this month, I spoke to my colleagues in my office about my personal experience of coming out and the abuse that I'd received as a gay man, and that was an impactful story for people in that office. And they, you know, a number of individuals came up to me and spoke to me afterwards and said, you know, how interesting it was and how much they'd sort of learnt from it. And I'd learnt things preparing the article that I did this month and preparing that presentation. And just because I'm gay doesn't mean I know all the facts and figures around pride, you know. So it's about just learning and helping each other and supporting each other in whatever it may be. So I don't know, I think sometimes people sort of jump on bandwagons.
But
don't they?
to Keighley's credit, if they can do it, any club can do it.
Yeah, honestly, when I went last year for the first time, it was enlightening. You had people from every possible age range, just joining in and enjoying it. It was just a family atmosphere.
Enjoying it for what it was as well.
It was just a bit of fun. There was a drag queen in the hospitality room where we were. It was hilarious. It was just a bit of light-hearted fun, and sometimes people get a little bit too serious about these things. And if that opens up a new audience, then so be it. You know, I mean, you look at the areas like Batley, for example, about and perhaps Oldham, maybe another club and others, where actually tapping into that local population is really what the future of the club should be.
And isn't that what inclusive in its widest sense should mean as well?
Absolutely.
That you're not excluding anybody. It doesn't have to include everyone, but you're not excluding anyone.
No.